Here we go. Oh my gosh, Tim, welcome to Casual Space. Welcome back.
Thank you, Beth. It's great to be back on the show.
Well, it's so great to see you. And I do go through Tim withdrawal. We haven't seen each other for a while, and our projects and our events and our lives always kind of cross, but it's been too long. So I get to see you shortly at a little event called Yuri's Night coming up very, very soon. So today we're going to talk all about it. Let's start. This is going to be coast to coast this year, which, and of course, it's always all over the world and wherever you are as a space enthusiast, if you're celebrating wherever you are in the world, you get to celebrate as well. So let's kick it off with let's start LA. Let's start on the LA side and the coast and walk us through the date and the who's who, what's what, and what this year is expected to be.
Sure. Well, first, I think if somebody doesn't know what Yuri's Night is, we should probably tell them about that.
We should.
So,
I should start there. I apologize.
yeah, no, this is people get so excited about the things that we're doing that sometimes we forget to give the context for it. So, Yuri's Night, for those people that don't know or haven't experienced one before, is typically celebrated around April 12th, which is the UN's International Day of Human Spaceflight. So, it's the day that we really celebrate being humans that get to go out and explore the cosmos and find our place in it. And Yuri's Night is our celebration that we created back in 2001. George and Loretta Whitesides first came up with the idea of a fun time that they could really get with their friends and have art and music and dancing and space, because all of these things are human endeavors. And so Yuri's Night has evolved into a global grassroots space holiday. We think of it kind of like we just had St. Patrick's Day, and you see how many different kinds of St. Patrick's Day celebrations happen and
Sure.
different places that they happen in ways. So we think of Yuri's Night as the St. Patrick's Day for space. So anytime around April, especially around April 12th, which was the anniversary of Yuri Gagarin's flight, we have celebrations all over the planet. And most of them are held just by people like you and me that decide space is cool and they want to do something with their family or with their church or with their school or just with some friends. I've done everything from straw rockets at a daycare to vodka shots at a bar and everything in between. In fact, in DC this year, a group is putting on a event that they are working on with a burlesque show. So they're going to actually have science talks and a burlesque show. So it's a sensual space celebration, which is
Love it.
fantastic.
Love
You know,
it.
it's not appropriate for the kids to come to, but that's okay. You can celebrate any way that you want and celebrate, an art opening. You could do a music venue. You could have a cuisine of the world celebration. We're at a time in our lives and as a species where we get to decide what we want culture to look like as we move off this planet and making sure that we're bringing it everybody with us as we do that and
True.
make those decisions. So
Yeah.
that's really what we celebrate at Yuri's Night, is that the crossing of all the Venn diagrams of humanity and using that as a time to celebrate space.
I love it. Okay, Tim, it's been many years since Yuri's Night officially became like a global celebration. I remember back in 2000 something when we were working at NASA and someone said, "Hey, it's Yuri's Night." And there was this place right outside of JSC. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's no longer there, but it was called the Outpost. And it was this hole in the wall bar where the allegedly the astronauts would go post flight and things like that. There'd be signatures on the wall and dollar bills. And it was really, really a hole in the wall bar. I can't stress that enough. So I did not know my soon to be husband at the time, but he was in a band. And one night for Yuri's Night, they played outside in the parking lot live for everyone to enjoy because it was Yuri's Night. And I'm like, okay, so I guess on Yuri's Night, places like the Outpost celebrate space with live bands. And that's all I ever knew of it. Fast forward years later and leaving NASA and still celebrating space exploration. I'm like, what? Yuri's Night is huge. Anyone who's everyone knows about Yuri's Night. And now even my kids are like, oh, yeah, no, Yuri's Night. We learn about it in school. So it has come full circle to become this like from a parking lot band performance to the many ways you explained how it evolves into a personal, enjoyable celebration that puts humans and space exploration together in such fun ways. So this year, unlike any others, before we get into, I guess, LA and and Florida. Do you know of any like global? You mentioned a couple fun things that you know are getting planned, and I love the burlesque compilation. Are there other places in the world that are like, oh, every year we have a tea party, or every year we build the rockets, we have fireworks? Or do you know of anything else going on globally, or do you think we usually hear of that as we get closer?
Usually people start picking up as we get closer, but for sure there are places all over the planet already. On yurisnight.net, which is the main website, you can go and look up and see if there's an event close to you. So there could be something in your neighborhood actually happening down the street. And so they can register for free on the website, get to use the Yuri's Night logo and the Yuri's Night name, do whatever they want. We've got some that are there's one in Grand Forks, North Dakota. There's a galactic get down happening in Rochester at the museum up
Oh,
there as they're counting down towards the eclipse next year.
oh, nice.
We've got one in Osaka, Japan. We've got Astronomy on Tap's 10th anniversary party happening in New York. We have somebody in Cocoa Beach, Florida that's going to be doing their Russian Imperial Stout release party
Love it.
on April 12th,
Oh,
right?
I
So
love
there's all
it.
kinds of fun stuff all around the planet that people are doing. Reno, Nevada just put in one, and they're always fun with a lot of Burning Man participants, so it's very art heavy. The
Ah,
Museum of Flight in Seattle has been putting on amazing big events lately. And we've also had some, not this year, but we've had some in the past at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum.
oh,
So
I bet
really
that's
all over the
epic.
planet. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And they
so
don't have
cool.
to be big. They don't have to be at a museum. If you want to get together with your kids and maybe introduce them to Spaceballs for the first time,
Oh
right?
gosh.
Or
There's
watch
Space
For All
Camp.
Mankind, or
Yeah.
get together with your friends and screen a little bit of the Orville, or catch up on your favorite Star Trek episodes. Those are fun things to do. There's no set plan. There's no way you have to do it. Just grab some astronaut ice cream and have a party out in your neighborhood if
I
that's what
love it.
what works for you. Yeah.
Oh, so good. Speaking of Star Trek, have you been watching the latest episodes of Picard?
I have. I have
It's
not. I
really
think I
cool.
might be one behind right now because
Oh,
we try to watch them
then I
together.
can't tell you about some special guests making some special reappearances, but maybe you already know about this.
Yeah. Yes. So one of the great things when we started, when George and Loretta started Yuri's Night originally, they had the idea that it was just going to be one party, one time that they did. They thought this was such a cool thing, but that they were going to do a rave in LA in 2001 and just do it on the anniversary of human spaceflight, and really just make it a good time. It would have been 20 years since the first space shuttle had launched as well, because that also happened on April 12th. So it's this big cosmic anniversary. Uh, so they just plan to have a party, but a bunch of their friends around the world through the Space Generation Advisory Council that they were on found out about it and said, "Hey, can we make this a world's space party? Can we all have a party on the same night, April 12th, 2001?" And they did, and that's how it became such a big phenomenon and why we started doing it every year on the same day worldwide. Well, now we do this party in LA every year. So for the past 10 years, we've been constantly having these parties every year at the California Science Center
Uh-huh.
underneath the space shuttle. So
Wow.
Endeavor is there, and we party underneath Space Shuttle Endeavor, which is something no other people get to do on the planet. So it's really fantastic. And being so close to LA, we get a lot of celebrities that just happen to drop by. Sometimes they give us advance notice, and sometimes we
They just
just
show
have
up?
people show up.
I
Yeah.
love it.
It's so fantastic,
Go
and it's
LA.
fun, and it's a welcoming environment. It's not a con. It's not it's not a convention where they're trying to sign autographs, and people are there to have fun and learn about science and just have a good time. This year, though, we did get a couple of advanced notices, and we do have Dr. Beverly Crusher. Gates McFadden is going to be at Yuri's Night LA as one of our special guests, which is super
Stop.
exciting.
Stop. Okay, when my
Yes.
husband was watching that episode and then he was like, it's not gonna be her. It can't be her. And then there she was, and he was like, oh, and it was like this gasp of like he went back in time as a kid when he was watching Star Trek, and then she was there again. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, this is amazing. And I
It
can't
was
even tell you about the other parts. Tim, you got to catch up on the next episodes because there's more. But that's so exciting. She's gonna be there.
Yes, so we're really excited. We've got several people from Star Trek that are coming, people that do voice acting. We've got special guests coming from across the engineering spectrum. We have people that we call our ambassadors. which will be coming in as space ambassadors, and they will be with a sash on, sort of working the crowd, talking to people. And those are people like Maynard, who does Hip Hop MD on Instagram. So if you've ever seen any of his science explainers, they're incredible. So we have all those fun people for you, for guests to talk to as well, right? We want
Right.
this not to be somebody just up on a stage, but this is really a person-to-person interactive event. So we've got some interactive tables and outreach things that you can go and do. We've got selfie stations. We'll have the Planetary Society there doing volunteer work. We've had Star Trek comedy troops there in the past. So there's just this amazing blend of so much fun stuff. And then we're going to have Dr. Jessica Watkins come up
Oh my
and give our
gosh.
keynote. So for
Oh my
about an hour,
gosh.
we do a stage show where we have amazing people. And this year, our headliner is Dr. Jessica Watkins from Crew 4,
Oh
which is
my
just mind blowing that we're getting an active NASA astronaut to come talk at our event.
Oh, that's going to be so great. Okay, so that's in LA. What is the date?
It is April the 8th. It's Saturday, April the 8th. And if you go to la.yurisnight.net, it'll take you right to the page with everybody's bio and information. We've got Dr. Cyan Proctor, who flew on Inspiration 4. We've got Dr. Chris Bosshausen, who's going to be our guest astronaut DJ because he flew on Blue Origin. And then you can see all of the other incredible people that we've got coming in from all across different places and
Yeah.
times. We've got actors and voice actors, but we've also got rocket scientists and test engineers and makers and musicians and artists that are going to be displaying their art. It's just this wonderful mashup of humanity. We have between 1,500 and 2,000 people that come out to the California Science Center for something unlike they'll ever get anywhere else. I mean, where else are you going to have a meteorite petting zoo, right? Like that's just not something you normally get.
I love it. Okay, so April 8th in LA. This is so exciting. We'll put the website in the show notes. And for listeners who are listening to this podcast right now, if you're ready to do this Yuri's Night event, go, but make sure you register. And there's a special discount if you enter the code casual10 for casual space listeners. So that'll get you 10% off. Thank you so much. It's so kind of you, Tim, for you to do and the folks at Yuri's Night. But just when you think, oh, it can't get any better than that, and I'm not anywhere near LA, what could possibly be just as good as an LA event for Yuri's Night on April 8th?
Well, if we have a party under one shuttle, Beth, shouldn't we have a party under another shuttle too? So let's do
Yes.
another party. So at the other end of the week for Yuri's Night on April
Perfect.
15th, that Saturday, we're going to have a party under Space Shuttle Atlantis at the
Oh,
Kennedy Space Center, which is just a
yes.
gorgeous facility and a really beautiful way for the shuttle to be displayed, open with its shuttle bay doors open. And so we'll be under that shuttle. And we have astronaut Winston Scott, who is a retired NASA astronaut. He'll be giving the keynote speech there. We'll still have Dr. Cyan Proctor. We'll still have Chris Bosshausen spinning as Dr. Crispy underneath.
Awesome.
We've got some other amazing guests that we'll have roaming around there. We've got droids that are coming. There's just an incredible array of things that we
Mm.
bring out to the Kennedy Space Center, in addition to all of the stuff that they already have there for you to see and all of the space history.
Yes.
And we have a very special ambassador this year. You may know her. It's Beth Mund.
Yes. And Chris, I know this is unbelievable, but it will be my first official Yuri's Night in person. In person. So I can't wait to be the ambassador and I hope I serve you well. And if you see me, come find me, say hello. I'm going to introduce you to all my friends and everyone I'm going to be meeting and engaging with. Tim, are you going to be there? Are you going to be in LA?
I
Both?
will be at both. I'm going to come to both. I'll be
That's
doing
amazing.
coast to coast. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so between Tim and I, you can find us. We're going to show you around, but I do have to warn you there's two things that are going to happen. I'm going to cry, and I mean that in a good way because if you haven't yet been to the Space Center's Atlantis exhibit, which is where we're going to be, this is where this is going to be hosted underneath the shuttle, which by the way, this isn't a mock shuttle. This is the shuttle. And where it's displayed and how you progress into the exhibit is what will guarantee me to cry. I cried so hard the first time. Have you seen this yet, Tim? I don't want to
I
give anything
have.
away.
And I
Okay.
also cry.
Oh my God. So, Tim, Chad and I worked at NASA, and in all the years on the shuttle program, we never had this experience. And we were working at NASA, and a couple times lucky enough to see a shuttle, an actual shuttle, but not like this. So we're just kind of like on our vacation with our fanny packs and our, t-shirts and the things with the kids. And we're sitting there. Then we go into the next part of the exhibit, and then we go into the exhibit. And I can't tell you anymore, because if this is your first experience coming down for this, it will blow you away, so much so that you might have to pull over to the side and start sobbing in your sleeve like Chad and I were. And our kids were like, "What is wrong with mom and dad?" And we're like, "Just give us a minute. Oh my God." And we were just like, "This is so incredible." And then we took in that shuttle with a new perspective and a sense of awe. And then the way the exhibit continues allows you to learn and then get perspectives from other folks who had flown the shuttle and worked on the shuttle. And so it is just for that alone, go to Yuri's night at that, location, just so you can have this experience. It will blow you away. But then on top of it, to have a party where you're going to celebrate humans in space, it's going to be next level. I can't wait. I also lost my son at that exhibit, and I just about so I'll never forget, every parent, have you had that moment where you lose a kid?
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't think it was going to happen when they were like 10. I thought by then you've made it through, the toddler years of that kind of fear. Nope. It was at that exhibit because it's so interactive and it's so profound, and you just kind of wander through it and you lose track of time and where you are and what day it is. And that's exactly how it happened. And I found Chad and I'm like, "Where's our son? I thought he was with you." "Well, okay, what do you mean?" And oh my God, he was fine, obviously. But it's that kind of place where there's fun, it's engaging. It's going to be so much fun. I've never been to a party in a museum before. So
They
this is
are
going to be
fun.
this
They
is
are
going to be
fun.
great.
But I will
Okay.
say it's great to come to those places, to the California Science Center, to the Kennedy Space Center, and to the Atlantis exhibit, and get to have such a different experience there, where we've got DJs playing, we've got people dancing in costumes, right? Costumes are extremely encouraged, of all different kinds, and we've got these interactive exhibits that we've set up, and people doing things in addition to the stuff that's already there. But you can't really get into, like, at a party, it's not some place where you're going to stop and read all the signs the way that you might at a regular day when you were at the
True.
museum.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it really encourages people to come back with fresh eyes and sort of a fresh experience of, this is a really amazing place that I want to come back and see again. And so we
Yeah.
encourage a lot of the science centers and museums around the world to use Yuri's Night as an opportunity to open their space up in a new way. And people won't have the same education experience, and they won't have the same maybe relationship with the artifacts that they would in a very quiet, docent-led kind of
It's
experience
true.
that they might have during the day. They'll come and they'll get a really warm fuzzy about the place and say, "I like this space. I understand that there's neat things here, and I need to come back and do this again
Yes.
during regular operating hours when I have that time to walk through it a little bit slower, when the lights are up and I can see more of these things, when they've got the full exhibit playing all of the movies so that I get the full impact of what's, behind the screen when they raise it, or behind this cabinet when they light it up." And so we really love that it pulls new audiences into some of these spaces that wouldn't necessarily have come in before,
That's so true.
for a science talk or something else that was there.
You're
So
like the
we
night at the museum, like Ben
Yeah.
Stiller. It's like what happens at night is a whole nother thing, and it's true.
Yeah, and we've seen some museums and science centers. I know the California Academy of Science up near San Francisco started doing a lot of adult nighttime programming exactly for that reason, so
Yeah.
that they could bring new people in. And I feel like that's why we have Yuri's Night. There's World Space Week, which happens 6 months offset in October, and that's a very education-focused United Nations program. They have hundreds of schools around the world that participate. Kids learn all about space, and there's always a theme and fact sheets and teacher activities. And I love that because it gets the kids engaged. But Yuri's Night gives you a chance to completely flip the table on that and say, whatever it is you want to do, an art gallery opening can be a Yuri's Night, right? Like, what is art on the moon going to be like? A food tasting can be a Yuri's Night. Let's talk about how you would package these foods and take them to space.
Yes.
Uh,
So
a
true.
museum. We even had a marine science center that said, "Oh, this sounds like such a great plan, but how does space relate to marine science?" And thinking about it, I said, well, do you track global water currents? And they said, oh, well, of course we do. I said, do you worry about weather patterns or, tracking large migrations of animals? How do you get that data? And they said, oh, well, it all comes from NOAA and their satellites that they have in space, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Oh my goodness, we use space every day and we didn't even realize it. GPS trackers for these animals use
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And so they were so excited to put telescopes out and show people that the estuary that the place sat in, the bay that they were on, was connected to the rest of the world and was connected to space in ways that they hadn't even really thought of.
Yeah.
And
Yuri's
so it
night
gave them a chance to open up. Yeah.
is like, I love that. Yuri's night is like a star party, like a star, like a star watch party where you learn about the planets and the constellations in the classroom, and that's there. And it's very, educational, like you said. But then at night, when you actually look through the telescope and you see it in the outside environment that you go into and you step into, it's like, well, there it is. Oh, now I get it. And the vibe is different. And maybe it's cold, maybe it's nice, maybe the wind is blowing, maybe you had to put some effort to getting that telescope. That's what it's like. I feel like once you arrive, you really get to just relax and enjoy and meet people. And if you want to network, but it really is always about having fun. But you just never know who's next to you that is part of the space program in some way, or an advocate, or an ambassador, or someone who's a space enthusiast, or a musician, or an artist. I mean, it's all of us gathering, because when we're talking about humans, we're talking about, really soon, not just living on Earth. And we've had 25 almost years of living on the International Space Station. So, when are we going to have a Yuri's night? Wait, have we had a Yuri's night on the ISS?
There have been. There actually in 2011, on the 50th anniversary of human spaceflight, there were large celebrations all around the planet
Oh,
to celebrate. And one of those, we had Katie Coleman and Ron Garan were on the International Space Station, and Ron actually emailed Yuri's Night and said, would it be okay if we held a party
would it be okay?
on the space station? And we said, yeah, Ron, I think that's going to work for us.
Yeah.
What can we offer you anything? I don't know what's legal for us to offer up for you, but
Yeah.
we're happy to help you out.
Oh,
They
fun.
actually got a bunch of Yuri's Night shirts, it turned out, and sent them up to the station. So they have our logo is just a stylized circle with Yuri Gagarin's head in it. And so everyone on the space station was wearing these shirts and holding a picture of Yuri in celebration, and sent down a nice little video
So
saying
cool.
that the world cooperates through space. And what we
Oh,
celebrate when we say Yuri's Night is not the fact that Yuri came from the Soviet Union or that he was a Soviet fighter pilot. Really, what we think of is the words that he said when he was up there, when he said, the Earth is so beautiful. We should be working together to protect it, not fighting over it.
mm,
And to have someone who is a Soviet military fighter pilot have such a transformative experience in space, what we now know as the overview effect, hit so profoundly, we think is part of the magic that space brings to the world, right? It gives us a new perspective on our problems and on our separation, and the fact that we are all crew on this spaceship Earth.
love it. Tim, there's going to be folks I know who are going to hear about Yuri's night. I know, I can't believe it either, for the first time from the podcast here. And they're going to say, darn, if I had only known earlier. Well, here's some good news. Yuri's night, while it is a celebratory event that celebrates a milestone on a certain date, really happens all year long. And the Yuri's Night organization does all kinds of activities and events. Can you walk us through what some of those are and where people can get on board or start planning for next year? Because really, it's something they can do anywhere they're living, but you also host different kinds of things that are available to everyone throughout the year.
That's right. So Yuri's Night has expanded so much in the past few years. We're actually shifting the name of the nonprofit backend that powers Yuri's Night. We've always been a nonprofit organization. So Yuri's Night will continue to be the name of the project, but we're now becoming the Space Kind Foundation so that we can encompass this broad umbrella of amazing things that we do. One of them is what we've been doing for the past few years. Loretta Whitesides, one of our co-founders, has been holding Space Kind trainings. It's a Jedi training for people who are really excited about space and want to level up their leadership skills. So it takes people through a 6-week course where you do the hero's journey and you really unlock the potential of your own life and your own leadership skills through those 6 weeks in the Space Kind training. Beth, have you been through Space Kind?
Yes, twice. And you know who was my space buddy? Cyan
Who?
Proctor.
Oh my gosh.
Before she flew. So I really got to know her and know her dreams, and we got to struggle together, and space kind is transformative. I'm so glad you mentioned that because it really does change you in a way that improves you and encourages you to just live your best life. It's one of the greatest programs. I hype it all the time. So I'm so glad that it's an official part of Yuri's Night. Oh,
Yes, and that we've taken that name because it was such a powerful name to think of ourselves not as mankind or humankind, but really what is the space kind that we want to be as we go out into the universe.
yeah.
And so that's what we're looking at as an organization now. And Yuri's Night is our celebratory piece. We've got this space kind training we do to really empower people and give them a new network of and community of people that are at the same mindset and wanting to look forward. We also do a Cosmic Odyssey scholarship. So this was started by Nico Blanks when he was a student at Embry-Riddle. He's now an engineer at spaceflight operations at Blue Origin. And
He's been on the show.
he's
Casual
been on
space
the show,
listeners know
yes.
Nico and they know you from this as well. It's such a great scholarship. And I'm excited that we're going to be supporting it again this year. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
So what we do is take pediatric cancer families, so not just an individual who's gone through pediatric cancer, but their whole family, and invite them to an all expenses paid weekend at US Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama. They have these amazing weekend family programs, and we let the whole family participate with other pediatric cancer survivor families so that they have this cohort that they're going through that sort of understands where they might be at. You know, some kids have just finished treatment, some people have been out of treatment for a while, and we've even had a couple that after we selected them restarted treatment. And so there's that whole spectrum of experience that they're bringing as a cohort into what they're doing. But the real reason we do it is because Nico came to us and said that he, as a cancer survivor himself, had found that he still had the right stuff
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
going to
he
space
sure
camp.
does and still does. Nico, that gift, what a gift. I know you and I and our families were there for last year's Cosmic Odyssey. I'm going to take it from here because I know you're getting emotional and I am too. And my son and a couple other fellas, young boys who were right along with him, who were training and who were enjoying the aviation challenge, they went toe to toe down to the very last minute of very last point of like the aviation challenge. I don't want to give it away, but say like the challenge that you have to do in the air and that you have to fly and it's a simulator, but I won't say anymore. And I just remember both of them being so proud of each other. They're like, you did awesome. No, you did awesome. And it was competitive, but super friendly and supportive. And my son and those fellas still keep in touch to this day. We keep in touch with the families. We get their progress reports. They're doing phenomenal. I mean, this is not just a journey for those families and kids, but it touches everyone as always, who works at Space Camp too, and the people who support it. So when you talk about Yuri's Night helping to support foundations and scholarships like that, it goes way beyond that one weekend that you spend. It's like just such a gift that Yuri's Night offers programs like this because a little kid's dream about going to space and having the opportunity to do that at Space Camp through Space Kind and Yuri's Night is what being human and celebrating space exploration is all about in a big way. So I just love that that's one of your many, many programs. It's so
And
rewarding.
we love it too, and we love that we're able to take some of those ideas and bring them to life through Space Kind, and take something like Nico was a graduate of Space Kind training and said, what I'd really love to do in the world is to give somebody else this same feeling that I had when I completed Space Camp, that I was able to keep contributing to the aerospace industry. And Space Camp is what led him to continue his studies and look at degree programs. And eventually now he's working at Blue Origin, sending people to
Right.
space and working
Yeah.
on their next generation rockets. So the fact that we get to give this opportunity to families to really have a family experience where they can feel like not just one kid or their kids have this experience, but as parents too. I know, like you were saying, last year we both because of a numbers game, it was great that you were able to contribute by coming in and filling out one of the teams, and let your son be in there. My daughter was in there as well,
Yes.
and they had such a great time. But it was being part of that cohort that really made it special, and being able to have them, participating and being a parent and watching my kid, but then getting to participate some myself too,
Yeah.
was just incredible. I've been a space camp counselor down in Florida, so I felt like I had that experience, but it's very different to do it in these circumstances, right? And with this cohort of people who, some of them weren't sure that their kids were going to be around at
Yeah.
this time in their lives when they got
Right.
the cancer
Oh,
diagnosis. And so
right.
to say, not only are you still here, but you're here as a family, and for those that have lost kids, you're still here and you're a hero, and you are space kind. You're worthy of doing this experience. You've overcome amazing obstacles already. Space is nothing for you, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be an easy one. You got
Oh,
this.
so true.
And
And
so,
just have some fun. Come have some fun and
yeah.
let us do the work and let us support you and let us treat you and let us put you on the simulators and you just enjoy. That was my pleasure. I was just like, I know Space Camp inside and out. So you are just here to have fun. And if there's a little competitiveness, there's a little bit of that too, as Space Camp is, designed. But it really is just about, and to go through it together, to just know that like this is a place where once you walk through the doors, and all kids, once you walk through those doors, it's about the mission you're going to go on and learn about, and that's it. There is no judgment. Doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter your education level. It doesn't matter. You get to enjoy it on equal footing, just like everyone else. So, okay, so we've got Cosmic Odyssey. What else does Yuri's Night celebrate and support through Space Kind throughout the year?
So next year, we're actually working on putting together a whole program around the eclipse that's going to be coming through. So it'll be in early April, and we're putting together a huge event down in Kerrville, Texas, a festival of awe and wonder. And so that's going to be something that will roll out a little bit later in the year as we get close to that.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
also
I'll be
do,
there. I'll be there
yeah,
in
it's going to
Texas.
be in Texas,
Yeah,
full eclipse for 4.5 minutes.
I
It's going to be
know.
incredible.
I know.
Yeah.
Put me to work. I'll be right there.
All
So
right.
great. I actually have family in the area. So I called them like years ago and I was like, guess what's coming your way? And they're like, oh, that sounds nice. I'm like, you have no idea how many people are coming to your town in
They're
Texas. We're
they're all
coming.
going to be there. Yeah.
That'll be fun. Okay, that's
Yeah.
next year.
That's next
Announcements
year.
still coming. Watch the website for that. Okay.
Yeah. You had said that we do Yuri's Nights all around the year. There's a big space conference. We also do a Yuri's Night at the IAC. The space conference moves around the world, and we move our Yuri's Night at IAC with it in the fall, so that other people around the world, and especially these space scientists and the heads of space agencies, can kind of get a sense that it's okay to have a fun celebration of space and see how to do that.
Mhm.
And then we've done some things as an umbrella organization. So we're now fiscal sponsoring several projects. One of them is the Analog Astronaut Conference that happens at Biosphere 2. That's coming up in May, I believe.
Yep.
Uh, so that's where all of the people that are doing analog activities like parabolic flights or going out to habitats and living there, testing out equipment, are all coming together to sort of
Oh gosh.
create.
Hold on, hold on. So I think we just let's start. Let's go. I can edit this. So we just let me ask you the Yuri's Night events that were throughout the year, and you just started with the Analog Astronaut Conference. So let's start there.
It's one of the things that we're doing now as an organization is providing fiscal sponsorship. So as an umbrella organization that other people can use, who maybe haven't gotten their own 501c3 or they don't have their finances ready yet. So one of the things that we're doing is the Analog Astronaut Conference, which happens every year out at Biosphere 2. So I think it's in May of this year, actually. And Dr. Cyan Proctor leads that. There's an amazing group of people who do underwater training. They go out to habitats and deserts and Arctic regions. They do parabolic flights, all to train and figure out what the training needs to look like to prepare people to go to other planets or other environments to live. So it's an amazing conference that's just come up in the past couple of years. We also do Mission Astro Access, which we've done for the past couple of years, where we take disabled. We'll reset that. We
Okay.
also do Mission Astro Access which is where we've taken a group of disabled researchers on board the Zero G airplane. So we've done several cohorts of those researchers as well, where they go up and they're actually testing out different types of accessibility experiments. They're looking at regular research, space research, but just doing it from the perspective of somebody who may need an accommodation for visual impairment, for hearing impairment, or for mobility. But really looking at, can people with disabilities fly safely in space? And how do we make space safer for everybody by creating accommodations for somebody who may have a limb difference or a sight or a hearing difference? And actually, they're coming out with a lot of really incredible research and ideas that will make everything safer that we do up in space. Grips that give directionality. So if the lights go out, you immediately know where you are inside of a module.
Yeah.
Lighting cues, so that if you have a decompression and you can't hear audio cues anymore, you still have lighting in there. And even looking at whether or not maybe somebody with a limb difference is actually better suited to space than I or you might be,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
they could actually be more capable in a space environment. It may simply be that Earth's gravity is the disabling factor for them,
Yeah.
and that they would be much more adapted to spaceflight. So incredible projects like those that we're really privileged at this point in our organizational history to be able to support and to be
Yeah.
able to say, yes, take your project and see if it's a useful project before putting in all of the work to becoming your own nonprofit,
Yeah.
and being able to help people do that.
Love
Now, that
it.
comes at a cost. For us organizationally, we're doing a whole lot of things and we have no full-time staff right now
Yeah.
whatsoever. So we're raising money all the time, and we're trying to do as much as we can to help everybody out while we still have full-time jobs. So you'll see some things that we put out about, like Cosmic Odyssey. We're doing an auction throughout the month of April that you'll see in conjunction with some of the Yuri's Night events to try to raise money to pay for these scholarships to take. This year we have 16 people that we're going to be taking to space camp. So a full team, probably 4 to 5 families that we'll be able to
Oh,
take with us on this.
wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
anybody from the casual space audience that would like to contribute,
Of course.
yurisdight.net is the place to find all of these programs, and to see the auction when it's up and running. We're going to have some cool stuff in that auction too. I'm really excited. Spacesuits,
Ooh. Oh,
games, experiences with people, signed
okay.
books.
I'm
So
in. I'm in.
yeah.
I am excited about that. Yes, for sure. And I'll put all of these links and opportunities for you to support, for you to join, for you to attend, and for you to just get involved with this fantastic organization. So, last question, Tim, do you wear a costume? And if so, what do you wear so I can find you this year? What are you going to wear?
I have not finalized my outfit for this year. I've worn in the past awesome flight suits that I've had of different kinds. Last year, I had this amazing sequin jacket that I got from a place called Area 15 in Las Vegas.
I've seen that
Um,
jacket.
oh, it's great. So I'm trying to decide if I wear the jacket again or if I pair it with something new. But something fun, right? That I don't get to
Yes.
wear everywhere else, and
Yeah.
something that makes me, like you said, instantly recognizable so that people can find me in the crowd.
I might wear a wig. Just
Oh,
because, well, this wig has a history. It went to one of the analogs, and we all kind of one night we just, on the analog, which Tim, have you done an analog yet?
I have not.
We've got to do this. Tell you what, we'll set something up so that I get you in an analog, and then maybe I don't know, figure out working with you on zero G. We need you on an analog because your spirit and your enthusiasm and your expertise, you'd be a great analog astronaut. I know it's so tricky to break away from your work and your family. It is hard. That's the hardest part. But once you're in it, you get like halfway through and you need that like pick me up. So I got out the wig that I just happened to pack, thinking like maybe there'll be a night where this is appropriate. And we all took turns wearing it. And then I found out like my other colleagues had packed other humorous items, and it all came out one night, including pop rocks, something chocolate that we had to mix because all the food was dried powder, and that was interesting. So I am going to take a cue from you. I like the sparkly jacket. I think I'll just bring the wig and figure it out from there. But I cannot wait to see you. I'm going to be at the Florida event at that one, but I'm supporting them all. So if you get a chance and you get to go to LA on the 8th for Yuri's Night on the 8th, then enjoy. And if you'd love to come out on the Florida coast for the 15th, let us know. Either way, you're going to see Tim. And if you're in Florida, you'll see myself. I'll be there. You can look for me. I'll be an ambassador. And Tim, it's always so much fun to talk Yuri's night. Maybe, well, I'm definitely going to do like a post wrap up, but I'm going to try to catch you when we're there and we're together, just to say hi on a quick video to all the Casual Space listeners so that we get to see you in the moment in your costume. So watch for that. Thank you for all you do, Tim, for Yuri's night. You're just fantastic. I can't wait to see you and celebrate with everyone. Last words, if you want to shout out anything else that we need to know or enjoy.
I hope everybody has a wonderful Yuri's night, no matter how you celebrate. If that's in your own kitchen, just having a dance party, or if that's sharing an outdoor adventure where you're looking at the stars and some of the beautiful planets that are out right now with somebody that you love, or like we did last Saturday, pull people outside and watch an International Space Station pass
Oh,
as it goes through the
lovely.
sky. We had some people at a party and they had never seen the space station pass over before, and it was really an awesome experience. They were just in awe that they were watching people fly above their heads at
Oh
17,000
my
miles an
gosh.
hour.
That's
So it
cool.
could look any kind of different way. I know, Beth, you and I are going to be dancing under a space shuttle. We'll do a video with Dr. Crispy in the background with his astronaut beats going, and it's going to be amazing.
It'll
But
be fun.
other people can have amazing events of their own at any scale that they want, and I hope they feel
Absolutely.
welcome to let their space flag fly and make sure that everybody knows that they're the cool space people in their neighborhood.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Tim. Okay, we'll see you at Yuri's night. And everyone, Yuri's night, April 12th, April 8th, April 15th, or anytime in between. Yurisnight.net. And we'll see you right back here. And we'll get Tim back on the Casual Space Podcast real soon. Okay. Thanks,
Sounds good.
Tim.
Thanks, Beth.
Bye.
Bye.